Hi guys, so I thought I would upload another gel printing episode. So you're going to need some acrylic paint, that's just chrome acryl, cheap acrylic student paint, some unbleached titanium, and that's Liquitex that I've been using, my brayer, and this is that paper that I was telling you about. It's just greaseproof paper. I'm sure you've got that in the country that you're in as well. Some reasonably thick music sheet paper, and let's get started. So I'm going to use red, which is cool red in that pack, white if I need it. I'll also use the cool blue, as you'll see, and stencil time. So I'll just choose the stencil that I want to use. Thank you, needles. And I do need to push reasonably hard when you're trying to get the paint through the stencil onto the gel plate. So I'll just speed this up for you. Now you could, here I am just adding a little bit of blue, just a tiny little amount. That'll just change the red from that bright pink red to a slightly deeper red. Now you could dry that rather than trying to do this one-handed like I am. I didn't want to wait to dry that, so I'm just going for it. Same thing again, red, reasonable pressure, a little bit of blue to make it a deeper red. And then once I remove this, it's still wet. And I've still got ink on my brayer, paint on my brayer, and I'm just using a little bit of the paint from the stencil parts as well, just to blend that in a bit, just because I've decided I want this effect. Nothing's planned. I've got no idea how these gel prints are going to turn out. At this point, I'm just going for it. Now I've got some Hessian kind of fabric here, quite a heavy weave. I'm just taking little spots off, and they're going to provide a bit of the texture print from the fabric as well. Going to dry that layer, touch dry. Now this is my background. Think of this like the glue that's going to glue it onto the paper and pull it off the gel plate. Just got my encyclopedia on the side there just to wipe off any of the red extra ink, because I don't really want the background to go pink. I want it to be a nice clean cream. Now I'm not using any weight or pressure putting down on the brayer. That is just completely the weight of the brayer, and I'm just gliding it across. Once you've got a nice even coat, you need to make sure that it's wet all across the gel plate so that it acts as the glue. This one I'm going to use music paper. This will probably end up being a journal page that I add decoration and embellishments to, and this would just be a background. So I'm just going to firm that down, stick it to the paint, and then I will get my heat gun and I will dry it. You can pretty much feel when it's dry. The paper goes a little bit damp and cold, and as soon as it's dry, it's kind of room temperature. So I'll just dry that off camera. Here we go, first reveal. I'm going to do 4 different prints today. I'm really happy with how that came out. Nice and grungy, not too perfect. You can see that Hessian fabric texture. little bit of the grunge that was left on my plate, which I love. That's why I never clean my plates. Okay, number 2. And you'll notice that the steps are exactly the same, just different stencils. I'm leaving those bits of grunge on the plate. They're awesome. So where the steps are the same as the first one, I'm just going to speed through it so I don't keep you guys too long, but so that you can still see the process and the changes in stencils, etc. Same process. Red paint first, bit of pressure, and then I'll put a bit of blue in afterwards as well, just to knock that bright red back a bit. Only a minimal amount of blue, otherwise it's going to go purple. Just taking off a bit of the excess ink. Time to pull off the stencils. And then I'll dry this layer. I'm going to leave the camera on so that you can see the change in the paint. Using the Hessian again just to make that a bit more rustic looking. So you'll see the paint go from that bright red to quite a dull red. You can actually see it drying when you're doing it. This one I'm going to use a little bit of brown, but I am going to take it off again with the Hessian fabric. I'm going to dry this layer. And then I'm going to apply my wet layer as my glue. Use the greaseproof paper again. This is great for collage. It's so thin, it doesn't add bulk. It's quite durable, this paper as well. It doesn't rip easily, and it rips even less easily when you've got that rubbery acrylic print on it. Highly recommend using this. Can easily tell when this is dry too. The reaction that I was telling you about the paper feeling cold, this is really easy to tell when it's dry. So even though I'm using very similar process each time, all of these papers come out totally different, and I've got some idea of what they're going to come out like, but really that's the beauty of gel printing. It's like opening a present when you peel back that paper. Okay, and I'll do one more. This one I'll do on music paper again. Fast forward the process, because the process is going to be the same. I'm just going to, instead of using the red paint for the stencils, I'm going to use the unbleached titanium and have a red background instead. Dry. Didn't dry my roller, and I didn't wipe off the excess paint, which didn't make me too happy. If you want to know what the print is starting to look like, that's why I'm flipping over the gel plate, because that's the side that you're going to see when it's pulled off the paper. Just checking how deep the colour is, a bit more red. Dry, dry my roller, and I'm actually going to put brown on. The greaseproof paper, I don't turn my gel plate upside down to pull off, but any other papers I usually do. I find it just helps take as much paint as possible. That end wasn't quite dry, it might have had a bit more paint on it, but see, look at that beautiful effect. I actually really love how grungy that's come out with the bits that it's left behind, and I can use the leftover bits for, oh, this is the fourth one, sorry. Same process again as the first two, but that bit that's left on the right is actually cream, so I can't pull that side with cream. You'll notice that I'm going to do an ombre effect. I'm going to put the whole Hessian cloth onto this one. I want this to be textured all over the red. Dry. Remember to dry my roller this time. So this side is going to need to be brown, otherwise if I did it the unbleached titanium, it's just going to blend completely in. So wipe off the excess off the roller, put the brown in, make a nice stripe. You can do this whenever you want to do an ombre, and then slowly work your way into that gap between the two. For the printing side, I use the inside of the roll, not the shiny side. The shiny side is face up. Try to get as many wrinkles out, try to make as flat as possible. If you want to, you can actually scrunch up the paper and put the scrunched up paper on. That brings up an absolutely amazing effect as well, completely different. Could have sped this up for you guys, sorry. And that brown sitting behind that white flower has now shown up the flower rather than it turning completely invisible. There you go, you can see all of that pretty texture through that red from the Hessian. So I'll just show you all of the 4 papers that we've done today. Look how different they are. Similar process, similar paints, but all different. So this is the next journal I'm working on. Obviously it's going to be red, climbing out of my comfort zone again, doing a brighter colour. I've only done like a muted burgundy before. That's just a whole bunch of genuine stamps that I've stuck together to make a collage. And I'll show you how to use a bit of this print and what it looks like. So I'm just going to rip a little piece off. I'm going to use Liquitex Gloss Medium to adhere it, not PVA. I just find that that works better and it doesn't get as sticky. Sorry about the frame. Got a little bit carried away. This is what happens when you come faff with me. So that's the gloss medium. You could use the matte version of that as well, the matte medium. But in this instance, you'll see at least how it makes it all nice and glossy. You can see how durable that is. So it's the thickness of tissue paper, but it's nice and opaque. There you go. Just turn it up, show it in the light, and you've got a beautiful glossy finish there. So I'll just show you how in a second all of these are going to sit together, because I know they're different reds at the moment, but when I put the other things next to them and have the neutral pages in between them, I think they'll all go together beautifully. So I managed to find some beautiful upholstery fabrics. They might be the cover, maybe make a couple of pockets out of them. Some gel printed papers, I might do some more. And some one signature. Well, it's not a full signature, obviously, but yeah. That's it. Okay. Thanks, guys.